Hey y'all, Attorney Tom here. I'm in Starbase Texas, and that's the Starship.
As many of y'all know, I've been looking at buying real estate in Starbase Texas. But, as I've said in my previous videos, there are a lot of legal hurdles Elon Musk is going to have to overcome, and we're not exactly sure where the city of Starbase is going to be or how far it's going to expand. So in order to get a better grasp of everything, I flew down to Starbase, and I am making Tom's official Starbase real estate guide. So the SpaceX facility and launch pad is located in Boca Chica. Boca Chica is an unincorporated village in the most southeastern part of Texas. So presumably this will be the epicenter of Starbase. After all, the whole purpose of Starbase is building around the SpaceX facility. So now that we know where SpaceX is located, we need to understand a very basic principle of city incorporation, municipality incorporation law. And that is, you cannot take over a pre-existing city. Here is a map of Brownsville. Everything in purple is what is incorporated into Brownsville as it exists today. This white area in the southeastern part is all unincorporated, meaning this area right here, which is circled, is what can potentially become Starbase. But not all of that land is inhabitable. Much of that land is uninhabitable because it's protected land for wildlife and fishing. So nothing can ever be built there. So that only leaves a couple of options for where people who are looking to purchase real estate in what would be Starbase Texas can look. And for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be dividing it up into two categories. First category is property outside of Boca Chica Village. Second category is property inside of Boca Chica. Okay, now we are looking at a map of all the unincorporated area, the land that would be Starbase Texas. This is Boca Chica here, but we're going to look for the land that is not in Boca Chica Village. So as you can see here, all of this land is protected wildlife management land. Nobody can live here or build here. So the nearest community in which property is available is this area right here. And we went and checked out a property there. So here we are on the first property. That is the SpaceX launch facility. That's the Rio Grande River, and there's Mexico. Just to orientate yourself, this land is completely vacant. As you can see, the wildlife land, nothing can ever be built in front of it. There are some couple trailers on this property. There are some individuals going down the Rio Grande River. My buddy Rob is drinking a beer, tries to throw it, makes it. We bet him he couldn't do that again. There were some dogs and some goats on the property. There's goats living in this trailer, and they have eaten the trailer into decay. Yes, that is caused by the goats. And there's a cat with a fish head.
Throwing.
I hit the first one. He's bitching.
Nobody saw it. Look at how he crushes his can like a sheep.
Oh.
Just a Wisconsin.
SpaceX property one. What do you think?
First rate.
Winner. 100%.
Might be expensive.
I am
though.
in 100%.
That's what we were working on.
And when I say expensive, I mean really expensive. How much do you think that property owner was asking for that lot with no sewer, no water, no electricity, just a vacant lot? I'll let you think about it. Answer in the comments below. $1.3 million. Yeah, you heard me right. $1.3 million. Now, actually, when we got home, I pulled up the tax appraisal records, and the property is appraised at $37,000. Now, obviously, the pros of this property, it is the closest uninterrupted view of the space launch, which, if you could buy the property for a reasonable price, would make it worth it alone. You could literally just set up bleachers and have people come watch the space launch from the closest area that is not evacuated. If that property would have been listed for $100,000, we would have gotten it that day. And while there are about 50 plots of land in that neighborhood, nobody has built on them. None of them are for sale, so I don't know if Elon Musk already owns them. But you're really betting on Elon bringing in infrastructure. The only way I see this property raising in value is if sewer gets added, if water gets added, if electricity gets added, because other than that, it's just a really harsh environment. And more likely than not, any individuals working in Starbase or for SpaceX would just rather commute the short drive from Brownsville. Okay, let's continue down Highway 4. The next time you can take a deviation off of Highway 4, and again, all of this land right here is protected, is for Massey's Way. And if you go all the way down, you go to Massey's Gun Shop in range. But word on the street is that Elon Musk has already purchased Massey's gun range. That's not confirmed, but that's just what everybody told us. And we don't know what he's going to use the property for. Some people think that's where he's going to build his house, but he already has a home in Boca Chica Village. And so we're going to keep going down this area right here, which we did not get to explore, but looking at the map, this is still unincorporated area. Is probably your best bet from where the center of Starbase City is going to be. All of this area can be developed. It is currently undeveloped. No sewer, no water, no electricity. But this land is just vacant land, farmland, just not protected land is the important thing. So if I was a betting man, I would bet that Starbase City would be located somewhere in this area. And it might warrant another trip out there. Like I said, I do want to buy property out there. I think I see huge upside potential, especially if Elon Musk spends billions of dollars bringing in infrastructure to that area with a bunch of high-paying jobs. I think there's a ton of upside. But the problem right now is it's all speculation, and the properties that are on the market for insane amounts that I just don't think are justified at this moment. Okay, now let's talk about Boca Chica Village. Boca Chica Village is really small, and there's not a whole lot of room for growth in Boca Chica Village, and that's because it's surrounded by protected land.
And anything that's not protected land is owned by SpaceX. Here we are driving down to the SpaceX launch facility. Now, it's important to note that they have two separate facilities. They have the actual launch pad, and they have this sort of industrial space. They're only about a half a mile apart. Here we are driving down the road to go check out the launch facility. This is kind of near where the Boca Chica Village neighborhood begins. As you can see, the Teslas driving down the road. We drove through the neighborhood and we were kind of tired, and we thought this was a coffee shop, or at least that's what we thought it was. So we decided to hang out there and play some football on the grass. Here we are. That's my buddy Milton playing football. There's my buddy Rob wearing a interesting jersey, and
We got kicked out.
so then we continued down towards the beach in order to go and find the launch site. And as we pulled up to it, you can see the Starship.
Got it? Here. Oh! Whoa, whoa!
What the are you wearing?
Oh!
We then went and checked out the beach and then went to Boca Chica Village.
When I was originally planning content, I was going to talk about eminent domain. I thought this would be an eminent domain issue. For anybody who might not know where we are, we're in Boca Chica Village, the 31 house neighborhood right next to the SpaceX launch site. I thought SpaceX was trying to buy these houses so they could clear the area. They didn't want anybody living here, but that's clearly not the case. You can tell this houses that SpaceX has already bought. They're remodeled, there's Teslas in front of them, they're very new, they're modern, there's crews here working, remodeling these houses. So it's not an eminent domain issue, it's a SpaceX wants the land issue.
And to be fair, that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be an eminent domain issue with the holdouts in Boca Chica Village, but it's very hard to make an eminent domain argument saying that you need this property when you are living there. Generally speaking, when public utilities or private companies petition the government to exercise their eminent domain, it is for the use of something that is uninhabitable. For instance, public utilities, electricity lines, easements that need to go through people's properties, or highways or railways. For instance, if a farmer owns a patch of land that the new highway needs to go through, well, then the government can use eminent domain to purchase that land from the farmer for a fair and reasonable price in order to put the freeway through the property. But it's a hard argument to make saying a private company needs to take your land so other people can live there. You could, I guess, make a national security argument saying what SpaceX is doing is very important to the national security and they need people in there to provide the national security or to help with national security, and they don't want people living in there. You know what I'm saying. But as it stands right now, there's about 8 to 12 holdouts in Boca Chica Village. If one of those houses came on the market and they refused to sell to SpaceX just out of principle, I think those houses would be a gold mine. I would buy a Boca Chica Village house in a second. I would turn it into an Airbnb where people, tourists who wanted to see SpaceX, could go and stay there. And also, if I bought the house and then SpaceX threatened eminent domain on me, I would just represent myself. They couldn't intimidate me with legal fees and all that stuff. I would represent myself. I'd make great content out of it. Oh, it would be so much fun. I'd buy it just for the content. And that wraps up my trip to Starbase Texas. So let's recap what I've learned. Boca Chica Village, prime location, the best spot to be. There's no room. There's only a couple houses that could potentially ever be for sale that aren't owned by Starbase or SpaceX, but it doesn't look like they're selling. If you are able to get a hold of one, that is awesome, but very hard to do. Unlikely. Number 2, the land's right outside of the SpaceX launch facility. These are the closest lands that are not in the evacuation zone, so they have the best view of space launches. There's about 50 plots of land. Only one is on the market right now for an insane asking price. There is no water. There is no electricity. There's no sewage. I think it's probably overpriced, and you're really betting on Elon bringing infrastructure to that area, but there's only about 50 plots of land, and the rest is surrounded by wildlife protected zones. So I think that is also unrealistic. So third, we're looking at this outside area, which is still probably about 4 or 5 miles from the actual launch pad, but it is not protected. It is all undeveloped, and it is probably where Starbase City is going to be if I was a betting man. But again, this is all pre-infrastructure. No water, no sewage, no electricity. You're really betting on then spending billions of dollars in the area. Maybe not billions. Hundreds of millions of dollars in the area. And if all of that doesn't happen, there's nothing wrong with Brownsville itself. It's a beautiful community. I think a lot of people will end up living in Brownsville and just commuting to SpaceX. After all, Elon's going to provide about 20,000 jobs, he said. I think, maybe more, maybe less. There it is. Thanks for watching so much. Please leave any comments, questions, concerns down below. Be sure to get to them. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all later.